The Miami Dolphins take on the Indianapolis Colts this Sunday. I'm Connor from the Dolphins Dive, and I'm here to break it all down. Now, before I hop into today's video, check out the dolphinsdive.com for the best merch on the planet, with shirts like the Legion of Zoom, Greatest Show on Surf, and many more. Check it out for the best Dolphins merch. But without further ado, gonna hop right into today's video, starting with the Dolphins offense versus the Colts defense. Now, starting with the numbers in terms of points per game, the Dolphins are dead last, ranked 32nd in points per game. Colts defense is ranked 18th in points allowed. So obviously the Colts have the advantage there. The Dolphins offense has been sputtering without quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. But last game the Dolphins had was optimistic in terms of the direction the offense was heading in. Now, in terms of the rushing attack for the Miami Dolphins, the Dolphins are ranked 18th in rushing yards per game. The Colts are ranked 31st in rushing yards allowed. Obviously, this is where the Dolphins need to live off of. They need to take the Indianapolis Colts to Pound Town. I don't think people realize how much of an advantage having Raheem Mostert back is in this offense. Obviously, we see all the speed and the dynamic playmakers, and you just assume everyone can do it. But understanding the intricacies of the run scheme, like Raheem Mostert does, because he's been with Mike McDaniel for like the past 6-7 years, allows him to make the right cuts at the right time, and it's a noticeable difference between him and the other backs. So having him, who you feel more comfortable running between the tackles, as well as Jalen Wright starting to get some run underneath his feet. Devon Achane should be back from the concussion, so that's all huge boost. And like I said, the Colts are ranked 31st in rushing yards allowed per game. So they really have to run the dang ball. For injuries for the Colts side, it appears DeForest Buckner isn't going to get taken off of the IR. So once again, there's no reinforcements for the Colts coming. If Mike McDaniel continues to commit to the run, because he showed his willingness to do it against the Patriots, it's something I've been calling for. You can literally watch all of my preview videos probably since last year, and I claim for us to pound the rock. If he actually sticks to running the football, this team can go on a run. Get Tua back next week, that's going to open up the passing attack, but still just rely on that run game, force teams to stack the box, and then you have the two best receivers in football on your team. Recipe for success. Hopefully Mike McDaniel isn't stubborn and goes back to that flashy, high motion, complex offense when Tua comes back. Hopefully he still lives with this run game. Now on to the Colts versus Dolphins passing attack. The Dolphins are 26th in passing yards per game, and the Colts match them right there at 26th in passing yards allowed. So once again, not a great passing offense, not a great passing defense. Now obviously, once again, these numbers are skewed without Tua, and it's still early in the season, but Dolphins, once again, need to pound the rock. I don't care if we don't pass for a lot of yards, but with that said, obviously you can't run the ball every single play like your Navy or Michigan College. You have to be able to pass the ball when needed. And even in this offense, I'm saying, like, there's gonna be, if you are able to establish the run, this is why I'm a big proponent of pounding the rock, it opens up that play action game, and you catch those backers reacting more to the run than they normally would if you're not successfully running the football, biting up, and then you have those throwing lanes right over their heads to Tyreek and Waddle, and any of those passes could be taken to the crib. So that is why they need to pound the rock, play action pass off of that. And the Dolphins have great route concepts. Like, their passing attack can be very good. It's just complex, and with the backup quarterback, that's what's kind of holding it up. But I'm not overall concerned about the passing offense, especially when Tua comes back next week, which I'm very excited for.
Like the it factor? I've had the it factor.
And then last thing, in terms of the passing game, I'm very excited to see how Snoop does with more time under his belt. There was noticeable growth from week 1 to week 2 with him operating the offense. And he was close a few times on one of those broken plays where he's escaping the pocket and throwing it downfield. He was close on multiple of them, and it just didn't connect. If 1 or 2 of those connect, those could be back-breaking for the Indianapolis Colts. And that's kind of what Dolphins fans were excited with Snoop, was the ability for the broken play. Scramble out of the pocket, throw it downfield. Obviously, I think some Dolphins fans didn't realize how difficult just playing quarterback in this offense is with the footwork and the timing, and they just assumed everyone can do it. And that's when Snoop started looking bad, and everyone's like, he's trash and the season's over. Like, people don't understand quarterback play. They want people to run the fastest and throw it the furthest, but there's a lot that goes in between that. But once again, I'm excited to see Snoop with more time under his belt and the ability for the potential broken plays to finally connect. In terms of the Colts defense, it's Gus Bradley. He runs the same defense week in, week out. I'm pretty sure it's just a cover 3. Obviously, they disguise somewhat, but mainly cover 3. They know what they have to do, you know what they're doing, and just gotta beat them. They have some young up-and-coming players in their secondary that I'm going to mention later, but recapping the keys: pound the damn ball,
run the dang ball,
protect the ball, don't have turnovers, because that's kind of a key indication of success. And then those 1 to 2 clutch plays that Snoop can make, whether it's a 3rd and 6 and he scrambles for a first down, or like I said, one of those broken plays, that's going to make all the difference when it comes to this game, which is hopefully, it might be another muddy game where a few turnovers on their end and you just got to win ugly. Just win. If you get a win under your belt against the Colts and you have Tua coming back next week, that can make all the difference. Players to watch for the Colts defense: Grover Stewart in their middle. The run defense has been garbage, which is weird. I haven't watched the tape, but Grover Stewart, my understanding, is one of the best run defenders in football. Very underrated, good player. So he's still there. They have former Dolphin Raekwon Davis on their interior line. I beefed with a beat reporter for the Miami Dolphins, Barry Jackson, who was kind of complaining that the Dolphins' run defense is atrocious and they shouldn't have let Raekwon Davis walk for $7 million to then go to the 31st ranked run defense when our run defense hasn't even been bad. But he gets paid to cover the team, and I'm just here on YouTube. But that's besides my business. Maybe he should learn ball. But like I said, they have some young players in their secondary. Kenny Moore obviously is a vet, good player. Once again, I want to make note, these are players to watch. These aren't world beaters, all pros. They make good plays from time to time, but that does not mean you can't make plays on them. Samuel Warmack and Jalen Jones are 2 young corners in their secondary who have been playing very well. And then Nick Cross, young safety, I believe out of Maryland, who's been very good from the Colts fans' perspective. So hopefully the Dolphins just look to pound the rock, play action pass off of that. Now heading into the Colts offense versus the Dolphins defense, it appears that Anthony Richardson will be under helm. Obviously it makes a big difference. They have 2 different offenses practically when you have Anthony Richardson, an old man but elite quarterback, in Joe Flacco, who I'm a huge fan of. But Colts offense is 16th in points per game. Dolphins defense is 17th in points allowed. Dolphins rushing defense versus the Colts rushing attack. Colts are 17th in rushing yards per game, and the Dolphins are 18th in rushing yards allowed. Once again, these numbers for the Colts are very interesting because it's a tale of 2 stories between Flacco and Richardson. Richardson obviously has the threat to run the football, where Flacco, he did break off a big run a few weeks ago, but that is not what he's known for. And when you have the threat of the quarterback run, that also just opens up the regular run game as well. So I expect the Colts to look to try and pound the rock if possible. They like to lean on that offensive line and run the ball. It appears Jonathan Taylor won't be playing this week. He has not practiced the past 2 weeks. I'm guessing he's not going to play, which is a benefit to the Miami Dolphins, although I wish him health. So hopefully the Dolphins are just able to stop the run on the early downs and force them to those passing downs. Once again, especially if Anthony Richardson is at quarterback. And I'm going to go into the Dolphins passing defense versus the Colts passing attack. Colts are 15th in passing yards per game. The Dolphins are 3rd in passing yards allowed. Now, that's a great number for the Dolphins, but it's a little skewed because of how some of these games have went, where teams go up early and they just have to run the ball. But still a good sign for the Dolphins defense under Anthony Weaver, who I think has done a phenomenal job. But I also think the Colts being 15th in passing yards per game is a little bit Flacco-flated. Anthony Richardson has a whopping 50% completion percentage. That means half of his passes are not completed, which is dookie. And Anthony Richardson in 3.5 games has 6 interceptions. And in the great words of the coach John Gruden, that's got me feeling nicey.
Got me feeling nicey.
Overall, hopefully Anthony Richardson starts at quarterback for them because Joe Flacco gives them a better chance to win. But obviously, as an organization, they are better letting their young quarterback play and develop. But Flacco is the better quarterback as of now. But Anthony Richardson, I want to make note, he is an absolute alien from a different planet who can run super fast. He's built like 6'5", 250, can throw the ball a million miles, but maybe not the most accurate, but still. He's a very interesting prospect that I think has obviously probably the most potential in all football. Just kind of needs to kind of continue to develop, work those fundamentals and accuracy. I like the Dolphins' hopes on stopping their passing attack with Anthony Richardson at quarterback. And to note, their top 3 receivers are all on the injury report. I'm going to guess they all play, but they're going to be banged up, which I don't wish injuries, but helps the Dolphins' odds of winning. Defensive keys for the Miami Dolphins obviously stop the run. As I've noted, especially if Anthony Richardson's at quarterback, they're going to be leaning on that run game. He's not the best passer. If they're able to run the ball down your throat, they're going to do that. And it's kind of the opposite of McDaniel, where McDaniel will only do it if he's got to, but they will do it any second they get. So stop their running game. And then the last one is to try to contain Anthony Richardson. He's going to make plays, but just try and limit it. And I mean that in terms of those broken plays that we mentioned with Snoop Huntley, where he gets outside the pocket, he scrambles for 30 yards, things like that. But obviously he's prone to mistakes with 6 interceptions in 3.5 games. So yeah, and he's very inaccurate. So really just keep him in the pocket, make him make decisions, and hopefully he turns the ball over. Players to watch for the Indianapolis Colts offense. Obviously, Anthony Richardson is a weapon in and of itself, but that doesn't mean he's prone to mistakes. Jonathan Taylor, who I mentioned, I don't think is going to play in this game. Michael Pittman, who's been dealing with a back injury, but a very good receiver in this league. And Josh Downs, who's made a great come onto the scene this season, balling with Joe Flacco at quarterback. He's one of their good receivers that they've got going down there. So overall, I like the Dolphins defense against their offense, honestly. It's just going to come down, in my opinion, to the Dolphins offense being able to establish that run game and limit the turnovers. So my prediction for the Miami Dolphins, just throwing out my statistics. If you want to tell me betting, feel free, although I'm not responsible. I'm 27-13 lifetime picking Miami Dolphins games, and I'm 4-1 this year. So that's pretty damn good. So I've got for this game, the Miami Dolphins winning 23-20. Now, I was going back and forth. This game can really go either way. You see the Dolphins losing or winning, but I have them winning 23-20. Book it. Comment down below. What is your prediction for this game? Appreciate you guys for watching. Like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Until next time, fins up.